can you guys see like the line, like the thought process, like the structure, the narrative? Like I don't. I feel like he's aiming everywhere and shooting and taking chances. Part of me feels for the guy. I've said it here before on this pod. How I feel like Kyle Dubas. I hope I can't confirm it. I hope that when he got there and took the job, he put in his contract, you're not firing me until year 7 because you will want me to try to maximize Sidney Crosby's end of a career. But you just traded a veteran in Lars Eller back to Washington. Now you're bringing youth, but not. I mean, Philippe Tomasino is 23 years old. He was drafted in 2019. He was a former first-round pick. He's not that young. He's a player who, after a very decent rookie season in 21-22, where he had 32 points in 76 games, hasn't been able to establish himself. Went back to the AHL last year, only a point in 11 games this year. I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see what is the thought process here in Pittsburgh. Like, what is the plan?
I don't know. Like, Tomasino signed a 1-year contract because he wasn't a player that, convinced that he was ready for a 3-year contract, maybe. Like, I feel like they needed some answers. And so maybe that's the plan here, like, they have it for 1 year. If it's working, he stays. If not, he's going to be a free agent, but you're losing him for nothing. And when we talked about, the Lars Sellers trade, it made a lot of sense because they need to have choices, like they need some draft picks. And now you're looking, I don't see it. I'm with you on this one. I'm just like, I don't see the benefit of this one.
I don't know what the Pittsburgh-Nashville pipeline is, but Tomasino, Cody Glass, like, what, you're trying to flip some former first-round pick into their full potential? I don't know. Like,
and I don't know, like, if it's because, Sam Poulin was called back from the AHL. He maybe didn't convince them that he was ready for the NHL, so he went back to the AHL. So maybe that it's because Sam Poulin, didn't perform as they thought he will. But I'm like, it's kind of replacing a 25 cents for 25 cents, like $1 for 4 quarters.
Yeah,
I'm just like.
You know what I'm thinking about? Circling back to our discussion a minute prior on Jim Montgomery's on teams' impatience. You know who's being too patient? The freaking Pittsburgh Penguins. Yeah, you have no leash. You have no time to waste. You're supposed to be, that movie with an aging star who is like, I don't know, wife died and went on a VR trip and like wants to start living or what. Basically, you need to be the man in Up. You need to go and live for the love of your life who died. Put some balloons above your house and go to a magical land with a Boy Scout and a talking dog. That's what the Pittsburgh Penguins need to do. There is nothing left for them to do in their small house in this neighborhood. Literally the only thing you can try right now is firing Mike Sullivan. Am I just being salty because my prediction was that he was going to be the first coach to lose his job this year and now he won't be at best third? Maybe. But you need to pull something out. You're 2 points ahead of the Montreal Canadiens, who have 3 games in hand on you. You have Sidney Crosby. You are not allowed to let Sidney Crosby end his career in the bottom of the standing. Sorry, I'm pissed.
And I thought with it, no, but you're right. It feels
I'm not
like,
even a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. What am I doing here?
No, but it's like you're a friend who's friend with someone who's been in a long relationship, and you're like, You are clinging for the fun memories there. And it just pisses you off because you don't care either if your friend stays with that person or not. But you're just like, I feel that this could be really good for you. And I don't know why you're, just holding on to those old memories. Right. And if it's because you're looking at the housing crisis, you're saying like I'm not going to break up because of the housing crisis. Well, guess what? With Jim Montgomery, you had a full nice apartment near a subway station for $1,000 and you didn't take it. So you're
Bravo.
like, what are you waiting for? This is maybe what pisses you off.
This was such a beautiful analogy, which leads me to two things. Number one, is this a situation you're living right now? Do you have a friend in mind? Because that was very precise. You have a friend in mind? No? Okay. Well,
No.
that was just a very good analogy. So that's one. And number two, let me ask you this to both of you and to the people listening. Sound off in the comments. Okay, let us know. Go to the YouTube version of the pod, please. At the same time, please take that time to follow Game Over Network. Hit that subscribe button, hit a like, leave a comment. That helps our podcast grow. We greatly appreciate it. But in the comment, I understand the the romantic aspect of Sidney Crosby playing his whole career in Pittsburgh. I think deep down, we all want this. And deep down, even though they're like the Robin and the Batgirl, whatever, to Sidney Crosby's Batman, we also kind of want Christopher Letang and Gino Malkin. We want them to have their walk away in the sunset and all that. But think about it deep down. Do you act, because I'm sorry, it's now clear. It's clear, like it couldn't be clearer. Like you're watching a sunrise over Miami right now. It's beautiful. It's this. You have the full scenery. There is nothing like in the rear view. Like it's clear. The Pittsburgh Penguins are not good. They're not going to be good for a while. The heydays are over. Do you actually? Because I was like this too. I wanted Sidney Crosby to play his whole career for the Pittsburgh Penguins. But do you want Sidney Crosby to end his career for another 2, 3, 4 seasons? The way the Pittsburgh Penguins are playing right now, if he's not traded, it's going to shorten his career, I think, because the guy is not just going to stay there on a shitty team. Do you actually want that? Sidney Crosby, yay, he was at Pittsburgh all his life. Yay, he missed the playoffs for 5 years. They sucked. Or do you want to go see him do another push somewhere else? I want to see him at this point go make a push somewhere else. Even though if that means letting go of the dream, the idea that Sidney Crosby would be a one-team player.
Yeah, it would be sad, like if he hung on to this and just like slowly dies in there.
Can't happen.
Okay,
it's
so
scarier though.
Here's my hypothesis: if Sidney Crosby leaves, he's gonna. And I'll be quick on that, but he needs to go to Canada, right? And the Montreal Canadiens are not in a position where, but. Imagine him.
Wait a minute, he needs to go to Canada? Why does he need to go to Canada?
Well, because he wants to play for Canada. But imagine if he gets traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
No!
And Sidney Crosby on a third line with John Tavares or something. No. I think that's more likely than him coming to Montreal.
No. Never.
That would be
no.
the saddest thing. But this cannot happen.
Imagine if Crosby is the one to bring the cup back to Toronto since 1967.
We just lost all our Toronto listeners because we had the most Montreal reaction. Well, let me flip that. Imagine if he goes to Edmonton.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, or Colorado is the one they're saying because of his friend McKinnon. But imagine him and McDavid on the line. Draisaitl, McDavid, Crosby. That's not too shabby of a line here.
Yeah, but let me ask you this, okay? Because this is something, because, of course, whenever it's a question of Sidney Crosby maybe leaving, a lot of people, like Kev said, imagine Colorado. Now, they have Casey Middlestad now, but Colorado, since winning the Cup, have had depth problem at center behind McKinnon. Of course, Crosby and McKinnon are from the same city in the East. They're friends, they train together, all that. So, and they're technically a contender, even though right now they don't look like one. So it's a perfect match, right? A match made in heaven. A lot of time, at least I've heard, some people just for the heck of it throw the hypothesis of, can't believe we dropped the word hypothesis twice in this podcast. That's beautiful. Thank you, Kev, for like uplifting the quality of this podcast. This is amazing. Of Crosby to Edmonton. But let me ask you this. If you're Connor McDavid, you would never say that publicly. Do you actually want Sid? Since he doesn't have a cup, and here's why I'm asking this. Imagine Sid goes to Edmonton. Edmonton instantly wins a cup. I guarantee you that the McDavid haters will not drop. Well, they will drop the McDavid doesn't have a cup. And now they will go with he needed Crosby to win a cup. He couldn't do it by himself. That's like me with Kevin Durant. I don't hate many athletes. I'm not a big fan of Kevin Durant. I don't give a damn about his 2 rings with the Warriors. They are Steph Curry's ring. He just rode shotgun. I don't care if he won playoffs MVPs, finals MVP that they are in the NBA. I don't care. He hitched for a ride. He hitched for a ride on a very good team. Some people would argue, even though it's Crosby coming, some people, I guarantee you, that McDavid's hater would go, nope, that doesn't count, McJesus. You needed the actual best player of his generation to do it for you. I'm sure that's what would happen. And I think that he would never say it. If he had won the cup past spring, he would be, yeah, sure, great. But since he hasn't won the cup, I'm sure that deep down he would be like, oh, come on now. Maybe not. Maybe he doesn't care.
That would be outrageous. Like, to see his star fade like that just because Crosby's like the savior for the Oilers. That would be unfair. That would be unfair. Oh my God.
You know what would be crazy? He could go like on a 40 points in 20 games, playoffs, and people will be, nah, you needed Crosby, buddy.
Not good enough. Not good enough. Well, what can I do? People.
He can't win.